Honestly, age 20 kind of felt like the Taylor Swift lyric, cause darling, I'm a nightmare dressed like a daydream. You'll see why. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Lizzie Diaries. I am so happy you are here today. And this is so fun to be filming in this setup with my kind of office space behind me. I don't feel like I have filmed here in a while, so this is really fun. Let me know if you like this setup. I can make this happen again. Today, we are doing something from my 30 before 30 bucket list, and that is officially starting a video journal series that I have had planned for the better part of a year now. And that is the Saying Goodbye to My 20s series. So I am going to be recapping every year of my 20s, sharing things I learned, funny things and how I was, funny memories, fun memories, reminiscing with you, and just taking a walk down memory lane. As I embark on almost turning 30 this year, I thought it'd be really special to look back and see kind of what I learned and how I've transformed throughout the past 10 years. Today, we are starting with age 20. Honestly, of all the videos we're gonna do in this series, this might be the hardest one. Sorry, I can already feel myself getting emotional about it. It's so dumb. I want to have fun today. Need to compose myself. I've put off this video for a long time. Not this series, because I'm like so excited to do this video series. But it's hard that I have to start with this one. Once this one's over with, it's like I'm really excited to do the rest of them, but this one's gonna be a little harder. So in order to tell you about age 20, which was 2017, by the way, I have to also tell you and give you the Spark Notes version of my 19th year, 2016. There's this whole trend going around on social media of the 2016 trend, which was super fun to do and kind of was a good lead-in for me prepping this video series. But 2016 was hands down the hardest year of my life. It's one of those years that you forever gauge time off of. It like timestamps the rest of your life. It's like your life before that time and then your life after. That's what 2016 was for me. In July of 2016, my dad passed away from cancer. There's a lot to unpack there, but it was very difficult. Sorry. And that was just 3 months before I turned 20. So I was about to go into the most formative years of my life without my dad, who was truly, he was my best friend. Both my parents. Because I don't want to count my mom out on this. My mom is my best friend. And my sister, who were a family of 4. So we had no choice but to be close. But I just felt like my dad really got me in a way that not a lot of other people did. And he was my biggest cheerleader. So we are going into the 10th year without him, and I can still feel this way about it, which is crazy. It's been 10 years and it still brings tears to my eyes. I don't know if it ever will not. But shortly after he passed, I turned 20. And it was a really difficult birthday. And so that's kind of the context that you need to know going into my 20th year and kind of all that I was dealing with on top of dating and going to college, moving out, finding friends, finding my major, finding myself. It was a lot. It was a lot for a 20-year-old to deal with. That's why I'm going to get a little bit emotional in this video, because recapping some of the things I felt and was feeling in that year is tender. I won't say it's difficult, because I'm the type of person who just loves memories. It's like it's always been a huge part of me. I love reminiscing, I love nostalgia, I love memories. This isn't something that's like painful for me and something that like I don't want to do, or else I wouldn't be doing it. It's just tender is what I'll say. It's really sweet brings up a lot of great memories because even though I was going through the hardest time of my life, there was joy. I needed tissue. I didn't think I was gonna cry till the end, but no, we're crying in the beginning. So let's do a quick roadmap of my 20th year and all that we're gonna get into, and then we'll kind of deep dive into the specifics. At an overhead glance, my 20th year, though so difficult, had some of the best things a part of it. I moved out for the first time in my life. I had been going to college for a year, but because my dad was sick, I decided to live at home. Before he had passed away, I had actually signed on a contract for an apartment to move out that fall. After he had passed, I still felt like that was the right decision to do. So I moved out for the first time. I decided to go to LDS Business College in Salt Lake City. I was living in Provo, so I was commuting on the train every single day to school, which was super exciting and just very fun. It was a very fun new thing for me. I chose my major, which is social media marketing. That's what I ended up getting my degree in a couple years later. That year, being 20 years old, is when I chose it, and here I am today with a YouTube channel, just trying to apply that knowledge. But I think it just shows how very early on I just knew that this was a part of who I was. I just love posting and creating content and marketing online, and yeah, it's always been very special to me. It was our first Christmas without Dad, so it was really emotional. We also took a few family vacations without my dad. We went to Disneyland and Universal Studios, which was our first trip without him. Very emotional. It was somewhere that we used to go as a family all the time, but I think we were trying to feel very close to him and trying to feel joy in the hardest time of our life. We also decided to go to London and Italy for 2 weeks. And when I say we, I mean my mom and my sister and my mom's best friend. So just 4 ladies gallivanting around Europe for 2 weeks. We had no idea what we were doing. We were highly unqualified to take this trip. It was mad chaos, but it was so fun. So fun. I got my dream job of being an EFY counselor. EFY is a summer youth camp run by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I had gone to EFY as a young teenager, and it was my dream job to be a counselor. So when I got hired to be a counselor, I was over the moon excited, like dream job. So I was working as an EFY counselor, and then I like to call it the summer of 17. The summer of 2017 quite literally like altered my brain chemistry and my life. Yes, age 20 was the hardest year of my life, but the summer of 17 was like the best summer I've ever had. It was like the summer that they make like rom-coms about and country songs. Like it was just the best summer ever, and we'll get into all of those events in a little bit. So let's talk about some of the highlights of being 20 years old. I was living on my own for the first time. I was making amazing friends in college. I just had the best friend group. It felt like I was living a real life version of the sitcom Friends. It was my apartment and I loved my roommates. We had this other apartment that were all our best guy friends. It just felt like we were constantly over at each other's places, coming and going on these amazing fun adventures, coming up with fun things to do, doing ridiculously stupid things, getting into funny situations, you know, just the whole shebang. Like I look back on it with just such incredible fondness because it was just such a sweet time in my life, and they all knew what I was going through, and they just rallied. Like my friends just rallied around me in such a special way. But moving out on my own had all of the living on your own things with it. I was learning to cook for myself for the first time, shopping for myself, all these things that I was just doing for myself for the first time. And then that summer, it just clicked. Like life just clicked for me, and it was very special. The summer started with this Europe trip. I'm sorry, I can't talk about without laughing because there were so many things that went wrong. I spent weeks planning. I'm the planner in my family. I'm very type A. So I had spent weeks planning, researching hotels, booking places, looking up how to ride trains and book Ubers and things to get to different cities. It was mad chaos. When we landed, somehow all of my preparation did not help us at all. We were so naive. We went to Rome first. They lost our luggage on the way there. Had to spend 48 hours in Rome with nothing, like just the clothes on our backs. It was hilarious. From Rome, we went to Venice. We had 2 days in Venice, and then we went to Verona. We had 2 days in Verona. Got to see the Juliet balcony. I made my family go to Verona just because I loved the movie Letters to Juliet, and I had to have my like Juliet balcony moment. I wrote a letter to Juliet and put it up on the wall there, and that is a story for another time. But just know that that letter, I think, changed my life. If you want that story, let me know in the comments below. From Verona, we then flew to London. In London, we spent like 6 or 7 days there. So I spent 2 weeks in Europe to start the summer of 17. I came home. I was then hired as an EFY counselor. When you're an EFY counselor, you work for a week at a time, 24/7. You're a camp counselor, right? So I had signed up for 3 weeks to do camp. They were all spread out with them happening about every other week. I think there was one that had like 2 weeks in between. So we came home from London. I went to EFY, came back. We went on a family reunion, came back, went to EFY, came back, then went to St. George for 4th of July, got home, had another EFY session, and then from that EFY session I had to leave like 12 hours early to go on another family vacation. We went on an Alaskan cruise. So over the 2.5 months of summer, I think I was in my apartment for like 9 days. Like I was barely sleeping there, and I would come home on Friday or Saturday from a vacation, and Sunday night I'd have to be checking in for EFY, and then I would work from Sunday to Saturday morning. I'd come home. We would be leaving Monday or Tuesday the next week to go on the family vacation or whatever it was. It was just the craziest, busiest summer ever. On top of that, I was trying to spend all this time with my friends in between and trying to keep up a summer fling, if you will, in between all of this travel. It was chaotic. To say the least. Before summer started, my apartment and my friends and this other apartment in our complex was having this prank war. I have to say it was some of the best pranks I had ever pulled off and that I had ever seen pulled off. One day I walked down to my car to go to work, and there was like a mini fridge in the front seat of my car. The next day I like stacked cinder blocks in front of their front door so they couldn't leave. The next day they liked to do stuff to my car. I came down to my car, the tires were all off of my car and my car was up on cinder blocks. It was nuts. The next day, to prank them back, my friend and I broke into their apartment and stole every single light bulb in their apartment, including the fridge, the oven, and the microwave, I think. Don't quote me on that, but every appliance light bulb we could access, we took. It was so fun. So fun. So it was just that summer and that feeling of just such a great feeling of community. Again, I felt like I was living the sitcom Friends, and it was just very special time in my life. Now, through all of that, I was also dating. I had written a missionary, broke things off with him, and then I was dating some other people in my singles ward, very casually dating, nothing serious. I had like a fling going with a guy over the summer of 17, and I had fallen really hard for him, but we had never had like a label on it. Things ended up breaking off and I was just devastated. Like, I was so heartbroken. In fact, I describe it as being like one of the worst heartbreaks I had ever experienced. And there's a lot of other details to that. That's a very like layered statement, and just from what I've told you, you're probably like, why? It's very layered. I could make a horror stories of dating video for you if you want, but just know that I was very heartbroken, very devastated. And that could have just been compounded because of like the grief that I was feeling. So to just go through like another heartbreak, maybe it wasn't like the relationship that was so heartbreaking for me, but just the loss, you know? I don't know how to segue from here. But that was all I just felt it felt very euphoric. Like, felt like someone was writing a country song about my life and I was like living it. It was amazing. Now, those were the highlights. The year did not come without its hard parts and challenges. Obviously, I was grieving my dad. Living on my own was hard in and of itself, in a different way than what I've already talked about. Being away from my mom and my sister came with a lot of guilt, I would say. Not because they made me feel that way, but just I'm an oldest daughter, so I felt a little level of responsibility, and they were so encouraging. They wanted me to move out. They wanted me to have my own adventures, and I'm so grateful for that, because had they not been so supportive of that change, I don't know if I could have done it with how I was feeling personally. So living on my own was just hard. It was such a formative year of my life, being my first year of my 20s. Halfway through the year, there were some issues with our apartment contracts, and two of my best friends, who were our roommates, ended up having to move out, and that was so heartbreaking. And then we had some roommate drama with the new ones and things, which comes with every college apartment story, right? So there was roommate drama, which is hard to live in, but I will say, like, it's not, everyone goes through that. So the typical roommate drama stuff. And then I was going through what I considered my worst heartbreak ever. So it was just it was a hard year. Lots of emotions, lots of big decisions that were going to impact me for the rest of my life, and I think I felt the weight of those decisions. But then I also knew how I was grieving. I was very open with myself about my grief and with others about my grief. I felt like I didn't want to make too many big decisions, because grief can really change you and the way that you think about things, especially when you're so deep and close to that loss. I think that I was just very cognizant of the fact that I was grieving. So I was very cautious to make too many changes in my life or commit too much to things, because I just knew I wasn't in the best place. But this part's gonna make me get emotional because I really do want to honor and express gratitude for the people who really shaped me that year. I've touched on some memories and things so far, shown some pictures so far, but I want to give personal shout outs to them. But honestly, the people who shaped me that year and I felt just buoyed me up. You know, some of the people I'm going to talk about in this video, we may not see each other all the time. Maybe we haven't even talked in a couple of years, but I still think of them as best friends, and I still love them like they're best friends and think about them often. Because I think when you go through something like this with people, it's hard not to just always love them. My singles ward was a huge part of that. I had so many sweet friends in that community who just rallied around me. I just love them. Everyone from that time in my life has left a very special a very special place in my heart, because I just felt like they saw me, they understood me, they knew what I was going through, and some people didn't know what I was going through, and still they just made an effort to watch out for me. I just felt very watched out for and cared for. So my singles ward was a huge part of that. I call them V6. These are my guy friends who lived in, their building was called Virginia, and then their apartment number was 6, and we called them V6. They were 6 of the best guys I've ever met in my life. They were rocks for me. Over the course of the year, moved in, moved out, it wasn't just 6 boys for the entire year. So I call them V6 because it was probably more 12 or 14 boys throughout the course of the year who I just became very close friends with. They all just rallied. I felt like they really helped me understand that there can be good guys out there. I was never romantically involved with any of them. They were just some of my best friends in the whole world. I need to give a little Max shout out real quick, because Max was one of the first people I met in my singles ward. Him and I got partner callings. In a singles ward, you're called to serve in a position, in a leadership position, and him and I were called to be partners over our family home evening groups. And we became fast friends, like kindred spirits. He just became one of my best friends in the whole entire world. Well, in the fall of 2017, we had been friends for a year already, and his cousin, Jake, moved in with him into V6, and then later become my husband. And so Max actually introduced me to my husband. I just have a very tender, soft spot for Max, because now he's my cousin. We started as friends and now we're family, and I just think that's the most special thing in the world. And he introduced me to my husband, and I love him for it. Next is Casey. I'm gonna get emotional talking about Casey. Casey was my roommate, my room roommate. I called her my room roommate because she was my immediate roommate. We had a shared room in our apartment, and her and I met in high school. my senior year. All of our friends left on missions, and it felt like her and I holding down the fort here, and we decided to move in together, and it was the best decision ever. I can't even describe it. We just had the best times together. High School Musical karaoke, smashing TVs together, sheet pan sledding, so many just hooligan things together. Because of Casey, it was some of the best times in my life. She helped me cry when I needed to cry, and she helped me laugh when I needed to laugh. She introduced me to some of the best rom-coms in the world. She would do puzzles with me on the weekends, and just because of her, I didn't stay shut in my room that year, and she was the best roommate and friend a girl could ask for, truly. And I still to this day deeply love her. And she actually ended up marrying one of the boys from V6. I ended up marrying one of the boys from V6, and one of our other roommates ended up marrying one of the boys from V6. So it was just a very fun group of friends. We were all meant to be in each other's lives. I also have to give a shout out to my extended family, who absolutely rallied around us. Like, just rallied. That year was so special because it felt like we were just constantly with family. They were just constantly watching out for us, texting us, inviting us to things, coming over to our house. Like, if you know someone going through a very difficult time or loss or grief, just be there for them. Be intrusive. They need it. Like, they need people to rally around them. And what was so special is that it was a year out from after my dad passed, and my extended family was still rallying around us and still watching out for us, still texting us, and they just never forgot. And that meant so much to us, more than I think I could ever say, because they made sure that we didn't feel forgotten. Guys, I'm so sorry I'm crying so much. This is, well, I was gonna say this is so unlike me, but it's really not. I cry a lot, so I'm sorry. It's just not always on camera. It's really embarrassing for it to be on camera, but hopefully you just see it as a sign of just how much joy and tenderness there was in this year of my life. Okay, and then the last two people I have to give a shout out to, besides my mom and my sister, who they were just my rocks. Like, every time a guy broke up with me, they would come to Provo, they would take me out to lunch or dinner, let me vent, let me cry, besides the many other millions of things that they were doing for me in my life and going through their own grief journeys. Like, they're just my best friends. Lest I forget my mom and my sister, because I could never forget them. They're everything to me. Whew, okay, the last people I want to give a shout out to were my two besties from high school, and that is Shelby and Candace. They have been my best friends for, I think, like 15 years. At this time, they were both serving missions. When my dad passed away, they both got home from their missions in 2017, which two of the best days of my life is when they got home from their missions. I was at the airport to hug them and greet them. It was just the best. But even though they were so far away from me physically in the year of 2017, they would write and email me every single week to make sure I was doing okay, to tell me that they were praying for me and that they missed me and they loved me. I would send them updates about boys and school and all the things. So even though we were so far away physically, they made sure I never felt alone and that they were always thinking about me. And that just meant so much. So I just had to give them a shout out in here because they were so much a part of, they are so much a part of my life. I can't. Whew. Okay. Overall, the theme of my 28th year, I would say, if I had to define it in a couple of words, it would be healing and living. I attribute songs to a lot of times in my life and like lessons I've learned. So going along with the theme of like healing and living, like two songs that I felt like just defined that year for me was I Lived by One Republic and Till I See You Again. Who sings that? It's from the Fast and Furious movie. Those two songs I feel like could sum up my 2017. It's very fitting. If you go listen to those two songs while I'm sitting here talking, you'll know why I'm crying. I think overall that year, I'm just really proud of myself for choosing to live on my own, choosing to go to Institute weekly. Institute like honestly saved me. I loved going to Institute. Transferring to LDSBC, choosing social media marketing as my degree, living with friends, making friends, staying at my apartment complex even though things were getting a little bit complicated, and embracing my grief, but also choosing and continuing to live and experience joy. And I think that can be a really hard decision to make in that moment, and I think I'm just really proud of myself for doing that. I went for my dream job and loaded my schedule with happy things, and I just took the world head on. That is something I could learn now as my almost 30-year-old self, is just filling my life with more joy, continuing to choose to live, to choose to have joy and hope. And I think reaching out to others and letting people be a part of your life is super important, and I know I could do that more. I am a very I am a homebody through and through, so I think sometimes I can not be as social as maybe I should be. And so yeah, if I were to learn anything now from my 20-year-old self, I would definitely try to be a little bit more social and create that community that I need, and I think everyone around us needs right now in the world. I think some other things that maybe I could learn from my 20-year-old self, both good and bad. I was 20 and I was teeny. I had this cute little 20-year-old body, and I was skinny and I did not feel like it. I felt huge. I hated my body, and that's really sad to me because I look back at pictures and I think, oh my gosh, like, how did I feel that way? I was normal. So I think I need to feel that way about myself now a little bit more. Give myself some grace. I think my body now is beautiful because I have birthed my child, and it's gone through a lot of heavy things, and that is beautiful to wear that so beautifully. So I need to appreciate my body now. I look back at myself when I was 20 and I think I look at pictures and I can see the sadness in her eyes, but I was trying to keep myself busy and happy and joyful, and I can't lie, like there were all of those moments, but there was a lot of sadness, and I think I'm not someone who likes to be sad, so I would try to keep myself busy a lot to kind of avoid that. But when I was alone, I would feel it for sure. I would let the grief spill out a little bit. I got a lot better at grieving, I think, and allowing myself to feel it, but that first year it just felt very soul crushing. Felt so heavy to bear that I didn't always want to just stew in it and wallow in it. And if you let yourself stew and wallow in it, you just can't move forward. I'm really proud of how I handled my grief journey because I am here now, but I can see sadness in that 20-year-old's eyes. Rightfully so. She didn't need to hide it, but it's there. I'm really grateful to my friend group because I was very clingy. I was a very clingy friend because I was experiencing such grief. I never wanted to be alone. I just wanted to be with people all the time. I was always excited to get married, always. So I was just on this mission to find my person. And at this time in my life, my friends were my people. So grateful for my friends because they were very accepting of me. And they were very kind and patient with me because I think I was a very clingy friend back in the day. It's interesting though because I was also in the hardest stage of my life, but I somehow documented it the most. I have all these pictures and videos of the hardest times of my life, and I'm really grateful I do because I think there's a beauty in being able to document both the happy and the hard, and having those to look back on I think is really special. I have pictures from the day that my dad passed away, and that sounds really strange to some people, but I'm really grateful I do. I'm really grateful I have those because as time goes on, your memory fades, and it's nice to be able to remember things as they really were and kind of be able to allow yourself to grieve when needed in that way. So yeah, I'm just grateful for everything I have documented in my life. I have never once regretted taking a picture. Food for thought there. I think overall, the main lessons I learned from that time in my life was one, you do for family. I think I learned that from watching the way my family rallied around us when we were at our lowest point. Taught me that you do for family. That's a line from my favorite sitcom, The Middle. Frankie Heck says that all the time. You do for family. I think I also learned that friends can feel like family and eventually become family. But that was something I don't think I had experienced at any time before in my life. And to find friends who felt like family was gold. After all of that happiness and joy and heartbreak, my life was about to take the best turn it ever has at the end of 2017. I was about to meet the love of my life, and I had no idea. But that story will be included in Saying Goodbye to 21, which is coming very soon. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. Well, if I was gonna give one sentence goodbye to age 20, why does it feel sad? Why does it feel sad saying goodbye? If I was gonna give one sentence goodbye to age 20, it would be, goodbye 20. You were somehow the best and worst year of my life. It brought the best and worst of times. I don't know how else to say it. But I look back on it with truly the fondest of memories. I'm so grateful for that year and that girl and those friends and that family. Okay, thank you for watching, y'all. I'm sorry I was so emotional. But also I'm not, because I do not think crying is a bad thing. Yeah, it can be kind of cringy on camera. Did I feel cringy crying a little bit? Yes, I did. But I was talking about some of the most tender, emotional memories of my life, and I'm really grateful to share them with you. And so I hope you'll give me that grace and that space to be able to express that emotion today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Thank you for allowing me to share. Honestly, it means so much. And now that this series is officially started, I can keep going. If you liked this video, like this video. That would mean a lot to me. And what would really help me and support the channel is to subscribe to the channel. If I have one regret in life, it's that I didn't start this 10 years ago, because long form videos and content has always been a huge part of me and who I am. But we don't live with regrets. We move forward, and I'm doing it now, and that's what's the most important thing. So it would mean so much to me if you subscribed and joined me on my dream journey here on YouTube. And in the next couple of weeks, we have lots more videos, and this series will be continuing with Saying Goodbye to 21, where I will tell you the story of meeting my husband and dating and all the other amazing things that came with that year. All right, have a happy day, and I will see you in the next video. That was a trip.